Hello everyone and welcome back to a review on the F-4G in Ace Combat Infinity. My name's Wardog3 and let's get into this. The second of many aircraft to be unlocked in Ace Combat Infinity, the F-4G Wild Weasel can be purchased for a credit price of $36,000. This is fairly cheap for being a shit tier attacker. Upgrade costs continue to follow the same suit as well, from levels 1 to 10 never going over a million credits to purchase. This makes the F-4G a relatively cheap and economical starting attacker for new players out there. Now it's time to get into the part that you all came here for, the stats of the F-4G. Because the F-4G is an attacker, it has a fair amount of stat differences compared to its brother, the F-4E. Starting off with the speed on the F-4G, this hasn't changed at all. The F-4G is just as fast as the F-4E, reaching a top letter of S at the level 15 upgrade. This actually gives the F-4G quite a bonus because it is an attacker, which also gives it an attacker bonus, and combining the high speed and the high attack damage you get from being an attacker can make the F-4G an even better high-speed ground pounder than its multi-role brother. Continuing on with the similarities to its brother, the F-4E, the F-4G's mobility hasn't changed either. At level 15 it reaches a top stat of C+, which is about medium-low for your average aircraft. Mobility seems to be less of a factor on the F-4G because its high speed and high attack damage seem to counteract its poor mobility, which is different than the F-4E because as a multi-role it can do the attack duty, but only poorly because its mobility is so poor. We finally see a difference in the stats of the two aircraft when we start taking a look at stability. Stability on the F-4G is actually medium-high. It is quite good. It goes from a C on the F-4E to an A at level 15 for the aircraft. This is especially noticeable when flying at low speeds when ground pounding. It is very helpful, especially for the beginner who might stall out if they're not using flight assist. However, air damage on the F-4G has seen quite a nerf, however, coming in at a low. It reaches only a top stat of D+ at the level 15 upgrade, although this is generally not something you should be concerned about, as this is an attacker and you should be focusing on ground targets only. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the F-4G boasts a much higher ground attack damage than the F-4E. It's quite noticeable and quite high. Going from the F-4E to the F-4G, I really noticed that I could take out ground targets much quicker than the F-4E. And finally, getting on to the last stat of the F-4G, which is defense, it has seen a slight increase. However, this slight increase is actually very high on the F-4G. It has a top stat of S+ at level 15, which is definitely the highest you can go, unless you're a bomber, of course. Still, even for a shit tier attacker, this is very good, and you will soak up even more damage than what the F-4E could take, which of course is very helpful for ground pounding and allows you to stay on track and keep hitting your target without having to worry if you're going to get shot down or not. Taking a look at all these stats, in my eyes, I feel that the F-4G is best as a high-speed ground pounder, and this is pretty much the same as the F-4E, except it does its job even better. If you can take advantage of the fact that it has very high attacker damage and make full use of its awesome special weapons, otherwise I call the Holy Trinity, this can be a very good low-tier attacker that may surprise your opponents if you bring it into battle and earn that MVP. Now getting into some of the more technical things, the part slots for one. At level 1 to 5, the F-4G has 9 part slots on the body, 11 part slots on the arms, and 10 on the miscellaneous parts. This is unfortunately very poor and is not very helpful when making a good aircraft setup for the F-4G. Things get better from 6 to 14 with a 2-part increase for a total of 11 on the body, 13 on the arms, and 12 on the miscellaneous, but this still is very low and won't aid you in making a decent aircraft setup for the F-4G. And finally, hitting level 15 on the F-4G, you get one extra part slot for a total of 12 on the body, 14 on the arms, and 13 on the miscellaneous. Part slots is a key weakness on the F-4G and what makes it so much more inferior than its F-4E brother, especially at the ground pounding role. It can't modify its weapons enough to really make them that much more powerful, even if its trio of weapons are very good. It's probably the reason why you don't see many F-4Gs flying around the battlefield other than me, the F-4G fanatic, or just F-4s in general. Speaking of these special weapons that I've been raving about for the past minute and a half, we've got the LAGM at level 1, the unguided bomb at level 4, and the 4AGM at level 7. Comparing this to its brother, the F-4E, this is even better than its brother. The 4AGM is a great multi-target weapon for any use basically. LAGM is great for sniping a ground attack target role with its very high attack damage, and the unguided bomb or the iron hammer is great for smashing any targets you wish, of course, even after they got nerfed. As I just said, this is an awesome special weapon loadout and is probably the best in the game for any attacker or for any plane at all for that matter, and it just so happens to be that it's for the F-4G, my favorite plane, not yours, not any of yours. You basically have every tool you'd ever want at your disposal for the Ace Combat Infinity battlefield. So noobs, make use of this plane and its special weapons wisely at the beginning of your career. Honestly, there is no best fit special weapon for the F-4G. You can basically use any weapon you want, however you want to use it. It doesn't matter. All of them are great. Pick whatever is your favorite and just roll with it, really. With all that being said, my final verdict on the F-4G is that it is the best starting shit tier attacker for any Ace Combat noob out there. The F-4E was the best general all-around starting aircraft for any noob, but this one is the best attacker. Make good use of it, and it will be nice to you. If you want, you could take it to level 15 and be competitive with those high-tier planes, but I'm warning you right now, the lack of part slots is really going to kill you compared to those meta F-15 SMTDs and the fullbacks and whatnot. Unfortunately, just like the F-4E, this aircraft has no special variants at all. I really don't know why. I would love to see an F-4G Heartbreak 1 or the Mine Riffer from AC5. Those would be both great variants and they could mix up the special weapons. But as of right now, December 30th, as I'm recording this, there is no special variants or aircraft for the F-4G. So that's a wrap, guys. I would like to ask, still noobs out there at Ace Combat Infinity, give this aircraft a shot. It is very good for a beginning player. Higher level guys out there, if you already have, your Su-34s or your F-15 SMTDs, I wouldn't bother with this aircraft. Unless you're going to take it to level 15, of course, which would make me happy, because I always love to see some more level 15 F-4Gs out there, because it is my favorite aircraft after all. Alright guys, so that's a wrap. That's the F-4G in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed. And the next episode is going to be on the MiG-21 Bison Fishbed. So I hope you guys will join me then. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Better start thinking about how you'll use that reward. Alpha Team produced some serious numbers. Better start thinking about how you'll use that reward.